As a fourth-generation entrepreneur and business owner, I know the grit and grind that it takes to run a business. With ChingonSA, we're capturing stories from other local business owners and sharing them with you, our querido community of San Anto. From the culture, for the culture. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of ChingonSA. I'm Luis. I'm the host of the show. And just want to say thanks so much for tuning in again this week. I'm super excited to have a conversation and introduce you guys to our very, very special guest. So we're going to jump right in. Dr. Tim Peterson is here with us from Peterson Chiropractic, along with Dr. McKenzie Slattery. Thanks you guys so much for joining.
Our pleasure.
Thanks for having
Peterson Chiropractic has been in San Antonio for the last 40 years, and Dr. Tim is second generation, took over for your dad.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so we're excited to hear about that story. You guys are located in the medical center area. And as of this recording, Dr. Tim graduated from chiropractic school 30 years ago. So congratulations.
Yes. Time flies.
And time flies when you're having fun, right?
Always.
And Dr. McKenzie is a Chicago native, but got to San Antonio as quickly as she could. So we're not going to hold it against her. And she's been practicing chiropractic for 1 year now, right?
Yeah, a little over a year, yeah.
Well, awesome. Thank you guys so much for coming on the show. I know you guys are super busy, so I appreciate you guys making time on your schedule.
Sure thing.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's get right into it, Dr. McKenzie. So, before we started recording, you were telling me all about your travels.
Yep.
Where did you graduate from chiropractic school again? In North Carolina, South Carolina?
South Carolina. I went to Sherman College of Chiropractic. That's in Boiling Springs, South Carolina. I moved to San Antonio in January of last year, and so I've been in here San Antonio for over a year and a half.
Yeah.
I moved.
Why San Antonio?
My boyfriend at the time, now fiance, he moved down here for his job. He's a college golf coach at St. Mary's.
Oh, wow.
And so he got that job while I was still in school, and I followed him after I graduated.
Nice. So enjoying San Antonio?
Yes, the heat is definitely different, but I can get over that. I work in the air conditioning, so I'm happy about that.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding. And Dr. Peterson, are you San Antonio native, or are you born and raised in San Antonio?
No, I was born in South Dakota.
South Dakota. How'd you end up in San Antonio?
So, South Dakota, my dad graduated from South Dakota State University as a pharmacist. Got his first job in Chicago. So I was in Chicago from
There's a connection
from
there.
preschool until end of second grade. But he had come down here for officers training at Fort Sam Houston for 3 months and loved it. And so as soon as he got the opportunity, he came down here. And so I was in third grade when I moved here, pretty much
From Chicago?
For real. So that was in 1977, I think.
Yeah.
So I've been here a while.
Yeah. For sure. So you're essentially San Antonio native.
I would consider myself. Looking at how much it's grown and how different it looks, I definitely feel like I'm a native.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
So you took over the practice from your dad.
Correct.
So how did he go from, you said he was a pharmacist.
Yeah.
How did he get into chiropractic?
So he was a pharmacist for 12 years and just got frustrated seeing people on too many medications and slaves to poor health, and he discovered the idea of chiropractic. So he went back to chiropractic school. So he moved his whole family, his wife, family of 3, Joshua, my brother, was 1, and he moved up to Iowa, went to Palmer College of Chiropractic, graduated, moved back down, and opened this practice back in 1985.
Wow.
And he was off Ramsgate Plaza over by the Papacitos. Yeah. And then we moved over to De Zavala, where Rome's Pizza is, where the post office is. Yeah. And was there until 2008. And then he bought the building near the medical center off of Wurzbach, where we are now. And we've been there since 2008. And I joined him back in 2007.
Okay.
Yeah, I had been in Austin, actually. After I graduated, I think I had told you before we started that I had just had my daughter 3 weeks before I graduated, so I didn't know what I was going to do. Palmer College in Davenport, Iowa. But I got a job in Dayton, Ohio, and I was there for a year and a half, moved down to Austin and started my practice. And, we talk about business, right? Yeah. I was a chiropractor that had no idea how to run a business, and I was trying to do it on my own and not get others' help. And so I've struggled for many, many years, and until I found the right help to, just became humble enough to say, hey, I don't know how to do this on my own. And so ended up kind of losing my practice in Austin and worked for a chiropractor in Amarillo for about a year and a half. But that's when I came to San Antonio in 2007 and worked with my dad, but I still didn't figure it out until probably around 2014.
So I'm curious, why not come work for your dad, like right out of college? Why?
Because he wasn't in a position to hire me
Sure.
and support me, and I had a wife and young child, and it was.
And now Peterson is essentially a family business, right? Because your brother works with you. I know Joshua really well.
Well, originally it was a family business because my mom worked for my dad,
Okay.
and my aunt worked for my dad.
Okay.
So it just transitioned so that it was my sister Gretchen and my brother Joshua were working for my dad before I got in there.
Yeah.
And so then when I got in there, my dad was there pretty much full time until around 2014, started backing away and kind of officially handed over the reins around 2017.
Okay.
And so I've been the owner of the practice since then.
Nice. What have been some of the biggest challenges, because you've been in business now 11 years for yourself? What have been, you mentioned earlier, when you first got started, you went into practice for yourself. That didn't work out the way you had hoped. But what are some of the challenges that you've faced since then that you've kind of had to navigate through, that your time now as a business owner?
Yeah, well, I mean, there's some obvious ones built into chiropractic that it's a lot of people don't understand truly what it is, or they've had bad experiences, or they look at YouTube videos, or somebody that they know had a bad experience. So number one is trying to educate people about what we truly do, and how to communicate what the patient needs, and not downplaying it, because people's health is. If you don't have your health, what do you have?
Yeah.
And I oftentimes tell my patients that people oftentimes spend all of their health getting to retirement. Then when they get to retirement, they can't do all the things they look forward to doing because they already spent all their health. Mm-hmm. And so health is crucial. And so it took me a long time to be able to educate patients in that kind of way. But also, I think the idea of, well, how do you market things? How do you get patients in the door so you can actually explain that to them?
Yep.
How do you evaluate them in such a way that they can see the results? And how do you explain that to them? And how do you motivate them to take action on what information you're providing them? So a lot of that was just very difficult because it can be very complicated. But I guess I like the ideas that it's simple, not easy.
Yeah.
Right. And so that was a big thing. Also, we didn't really have our expenses under control. So we didn't know what was coming in, what was going out, and so if you don't have a budget, which we really got into big time in around 2017, and now we know what's going on, and we can put it through that filter and decide, well, should we buy that or shouldn't we? And that's probably some of the biggest things.
You guys do something very, very different than than really most chiropractors, that I've been to. And I think that's actually, that was one of my hesitations about going back to chiropractic care was my previous experience with chiropractic care. You mentioned that earlier. So Dr. McKenzie, if you would, talk about the differences that you see in your practice versus what the majority of chiropractic care looks like.
Yeah, absolutely. So actually when I was in school, I learned the manual technique. I learned all that, and that's what I thought I was going into.
Snap, crackle, pop.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted to do. That's what I loved about chiropractic. And even after I graduated, and I didn't even expect to do what we call a torque release technique. It's a very gentle and precise adjustment. We use an instrument for it. We do take x-rays to make sure we are seeing what each other's spines look like. We definitely don't want to guess on that.
Yeah.
And so what I found now using the technique, after being a patient of chiropractic since starting school, I hold my adjustments better, and it's easier on myself and the patient. So Dr. Tim and I can now do chiropractic for a long time. Even Dr. Ward, he comes in here and still, he adjusts patients. And how old's your dad?
He's 75 now.
So even at 75,
76.
yeah. So he can still do what he loves, and it doesn't wear on his body as much as a manual adjustment does.
So talk about that technique a little bit. What's the difference between what'd you call it?
It's called torque release technique.
Yeah.
So that we use the precision of the instrument to follow we have to learn vectors of how a spinal bone moves. And you can do that two ways. You can do it with force, or you can do it with speed. And so a manual adjustment uses force to move something, whereas we use the speed and precision.
Interesting. And it's very focused, right? You pinpoint the sort of care that you're providing.
Yeah, if you have 24 bones in your spine and only a few of them need to move, why would we move all of them?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Right. So, plus, if a bone's moved in a certain direction, we need to make sure we're trying to move it in the opposite direction.
Right.
So that's where the precision comes, is the direction of the force needs to be precise.
Yeah, and that's very different from most chiropractic.
Most of the research is going towards lower force, more precision makes better changes. Even some of the manual adjustments nowadays are focused a lot more on being very precise.
Oh, that's good.
There's some chiropractors that just adjust the very top spinal bone and they use their hands, but it's a very precise, very fast adjustment.
That's good.
Yeah.
And we use that same instrument that I was telling you about. We use it on every single one of our patients, whether they're 95 years old or they're 8 weeks old.
Or one day.
Yeah.
Or one day. Yeah. Our youngest patient was 24 hours old.
Yeah, that was one thing that I learned about when I started seeing you guys, was that you guys treat infants,
Yes.
Because they experience trauma coming out of the birth canal, and
For sure.
How does chiropractic care help someone that young?
Well, and that's the thing that Dr. McKenzie has a lot of passion for, is that type of patient. So we're looking forward to bringing that to more families.
Yeah,
really.
So talk about that. How are you wanting to expand that side of the practice?
So if you think about it, everyone has a spine, right? When as an adult, they think I don't have to need chiropractic care because I don't have any pain, I don't have neck pain. A little baby won't tell you they're in pain, obviously, but you can see discomfort in them. A parent will be able to tell they're uncomfortable without them saying I'm in pain.
Yeah.
And so even when they come out of a birth canal, they have a spine. In the womb, they have a spine. Their spine develops. Their spinal cord is one of the first things that develops in a baby. And so building that program, a lot of times it's getting the moms under the care, because the moms oftentimes are the decision makers of the family.
Sure.
And they want to make the health decisions. And so getting a baby adjusted right out from birth helps them develop properly and helps their spine make sure it's following the right stepping stones in development.
So, and the program that you're working on takes it one step further and starts during pregnancy.
Correct.
Not necessarily, after the baby's born, right? So how does your program work with expectant mothers?
So I am Webster certified. That's what it means, is I have experience training in a pregnant mom. And so that training comes from how it helps to balance out the pelvis, get the pelvis moving. And because of that, then that's going to create an optimal environment for the mom and the baby. So really the development starts in the womb. And then if the mom's pelvis is balanced, the baby can move how it should, and be ready to follow the birthing process.
Nice.
A lot of babies will literally get stuck in the pelvis.
Yeah.
And you can imagine just being stuck in one position for months on end, and now you're developing that way. Well, what are you going to look like once you're born?
Right.
You're already messed up.
Yeah. When I think of chiropractic care, I usually think of, whenever I go in, I lay on my stomach. So how do you guys kind of care for a mom who's got a belly?
Yeah. So we have we call it a pregnancy pillow. So it actually has a place for the mom's belly to lay on, so they can still lay on their belly. And a lot of moms really love
try
it.
That out next time.
A lot of moms really love it because they can't lay on their stomach a lot of times.
It's the only time they can lay on their stomach
so
is when they
a
come
lot
in.
of times they lay on their stomach and they're like, can I just stay here forever? Like, this is amazing. I want to buy one for my house.
Yeah.
And so it really takes the pressure off, the back, and then they just get 5 minutes to decompress.
Yeah.
Going off of that with a child, a child's not as patient as adults. They most of the time won't lay on their stomach for a long time.
Sure.
And so what's really cool with kids adjusting them is you work around them. Oftentimes you'll see me, like if someone walks by and I'm adjusting a kid, I'm on the floor a lot of times. I'm adjusting them. Like if the baby's crawling, I'll adjust them while they're crawling.
Nice.
The best time to do it is when they're comfortable, because if you're causing them more stress, then the adjustment's not going to do anything.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So there was time I was checking a baby and the mom was already nursing her. So that's just allowing the baby to be in their most comfortable setting. So I really just have to work around the kids, and a lot of times it's not what you see normally. A lot of times there's one little girl who won't get adjusted. Her mom and sister already have gotten adjusted, and then every time she goes up, she's like, no, I'm not wanting to. And when she came in this past week, I was just like, come give me a hug. And she came in and gave me a hug. And like as she was hugging me, I was like feeling her spine. So like,
oh, gotcha. Okay. I thought you were going to take out the
well, I did do that. Like as she was hugging me, she was still hugging me, so I adjusted her after that. So
there you go.
You move around the kids, you get to them where they're comfortable, meet them on their level, and the parents really appreciate that, and then the kids often appreciate that as well.
You guys just celebrated, in April, you guys celebrated 40 years in business.
Yes.
You guys had a big celebration, you had a ton of clients. I loved what you guys did. You had a client appreciation day. I think you guys do that every year, right?
Yeah, I think we might have missed a few. We have a picture of one of my dad's early ones. It's me, my brother, and my sister in 1991 at a Patient Appreciation Day. So I know it's been going on at least that long.
Nice.
And so I can't remember, like even during COVID, we did kind of a variation of the event because we couldn't have a ton of people all in the same place. But yeah, we've been doing it for quite a while. Always have a different theme. We've done Fiesta, we've done superheroes, we've done movie theme, we've done tons of, we did 50s, 60s, 70s.
You did 80s.
So we did the 80s because we were founded in 1985.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Last year was a little different because I had just gotten licensed, so I couldn't see all the patients, and so we spread it out through the entire week because otherwise Dr. Tim would have been
seen that many patients in a day.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I got to stop by, on my way into work. I got an adjustment while I was there.
Grabbed a breakfast taco.
I didn't get a breakfast taco. I think I had. I'm not a big breakfast eater to begin with, but it was fun. Took a bunch of pictures. Joshua made me put on a wig and got a rock and roll picture going on.
There you go.
Why does healthcare have to be just dry and sterile, right?
That's fair. I say the same thing about insurance. Insurance doesn't have to be, super cut and dry.
Yeah.
We like to cut loose every once in a while.
For sure.
So, as you guys have been kind of working through what chiropractic care looks like and what your how you guys practice chiropractic care, what do you feel the impact that your care is having and the way that you practice it having in the San Antonio community?
Well, it's weird. I've gone through a lot of different periods of time here in San Antonio from 2007 until now. Before COVID, I was getting out a lot in the community doing lectures and health fairs and stuff like that, where you just get people a different perspective on what chiropractic is.
Sure.
At this point, I'm too busy to do that. My sister Gretchen goes out and does a lot of that type of stuff now, but I rely on the impact that I have on my patients and giving them the empowerment to share their story and encourage others to at least get their spines checked, whether it's somebody that they know in New York City, or in Duluth, Minnesota, or here. If they're from around here, we're more than happy to check friends and family, of our patients. And that's kind of how we're able to multiply our impact at this point.
Those are specific examples. So have you already referred people in Duluth, Minnesota?
Well, we have we know lots of chiropractors all over the place.
Yeah.
And what we'll do, if I don't know anybody specific, I'll try to look through websites and see if there are things that talk about that they take x-rays, that they do an instrument technique, that,
right.
So to see if it looks like they're similar.
Yeah.
And so, but if there's somebody that we know,
yeah.
then we're a lot more confident to send them to them.
Speaking of, healthcare doesn't have to, or it doesn't have to be bland. You guys are doing something fun on social media. You're telling chiropractic jokes.
We're doing overall health jokes. There's not enough chiropractic jokes to go around for very long, but yes, we're having fun. Just kind of Joshua was pouring through and finding some good jokes, so we'll be having a lot more episodes coming up.
Well, what do you guys call it? Is it
Doc Talk?
Doc Talk. Yeah.
It's a spin-off on that trend that's a doc talk on, like, they're making jokes on like a fishing dock, whereas in like this is doc talk as
So
in
this
like
is just DOC talk.
Got it. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. You guys posted, was it your first one recently? Like
I think we've done
two.
Two
well,
or
posted two now. I don't think the third.
I can't remember what the jokes were, but they were really good.
Yeah, 3 and 4 are in the can, so they'll be coming out soon.
Gotcha. All right.
If you ever find jokes, let us know. We'll add them to the list.
I will do that. I love a good dad joke. I love a good dad joke.
There's a lot of bad ones too.
Is there though? I think they're all great. Then I love puns also. Puns are so fun for me. I don't know why.
We tell a joke every morning in our meeting just to start with a laugh. Like, it's really important to start your day laughing. Anything can happen on the way to work, and so we just want to raise up the spirits, make sure everyone's having the best day possible to serve our patients.
Yeah.
How the day starts is how it ends, right? So you start the day right, and you have some good momentum going into the day. Yeah,
I really appreciate, one of the things I told Joshua early on was I really appreciated how you guys, how much focus and attention you put on the overall experience, not just the care that you're providing, but the overall experience. From the minute that a patient walks through the door, they're greeted by staff. You don't see that, in a medical facility, whether that's a primary care doctor, whether that's a chiropractor, whether that's physical therapy, whatever, right? You don't see that.
I think even in the service community as a whole, you don't see it. I mean, I've gone through a really good dinner before at a nice restaurant, and everything went well, and then all of a sudden it's time to get your check because you've been there a while and you can't find the server anywhere. And this great experience all of a sudden is dissipated because you're like, okay, I'm ready to go. It's been 15 minutes. Where are they?
Yeah.
So if you're having a service industry business,
right,
and you miss one piece, you may be ruining somebody's experience. But if you get it all together, they're going to know something happened, even if it's subconscious.
Yeah.
They're going to notice that something special happened. And when you have that happening in the health sector, you really allow people to heal better too.
Yeah. So I remember my first visit, I had one of your team members come around the counter and greet me.
Right.
I don't think I've ever walked into a doctor's office before and been even looked at in the eyes.
You're lucky if they look up and say, insurance card.
Right, exactly. And so I really appreciate the intentionality that you guys have put into the overall experience.
And honestly, it's what drew me to work at the practice. So I was an intern for the practice while I was waiting to get my license. And I was telling my mom, I was like, I've never seen an office so loving to their patients, like whether it's someone who they just met or someone who's been there for 40 years. And I loved that. So that's what made me really want to be part of that.
How did you get connected with the practice?
That was the God thing, right?
That's the God thing. So like I said, I was moving here because my boyfriend was already coming here, already lived here. And so in our last semester of school or last quarter of school, we have the option to stay in the clinic and see our current patients as a student, or go to an office and see how the business is ran. And I knew I was moving to San Antonio. I have no friends. I have no family in San Antonio. I knew no one here. And so we had a student from Sherman already visit the practice. And so they were already on like this approved list.
It's called a preceptor.
Approved list that I could choose from. And they responded that they loved students to shadow, and we do. We always welcome anybody to shadow us. And I moved to San Antonio.
You did like a Zoom call with me, and it was just like, yeah, come on out.
Yeah, I moved to San Antonio, and it worked out great because now I work for them. And no, I'm not part of the family. I get asked it all the time, and I think this is the God part because I look like them and I act like them. And so I get asked.
And she can put up with Josh.
Yeah, I get asked almost every single day if I'm a Peterson. And so, but no, I'm not. I'm just an addition.
By extension, you are.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
No, I really, I love the culture that you guys have built. And I think that's super important for really any business and any business owner, right? Is to not only impact the service level that you're providing to your clients, but also it's just as important that you provide that same sort of culture building for your team. And I think that you guys have done a great job of that. It really does feel like your team enjoys coming to work every day.
I hope they do. You know, and I think the cool thing is not everybody's going to have a great day every day.
Sure.
But if you're running an environment where there's more people that are up than the one person that's down, the person that's down can actually be brought up.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So looking back, kind of in your practice, what is one lesson, Dr. Tim, that you wish that you would have learned way earlier?
Wow. So early on in practice, I was just in survival mode so much. And I think when you're in survival mode, you think more about your situation than the patient's situation. So I think whenever you're in a situation in life where you're stressed out and it's all about you, the best solution is as fast as possible, help somebody else and focus in on them. And that lowers your stress level immediately, and you actually help somebody. Yeah. So I wish I would have known that earlier.
Yeah. Dr. McKenzie, what about you? I know you're not necessarily an owner of the business, but in practice, right? Like what has been one lesson that you've learned that helps you to provide that care for your the excellent level of care that you guys do to your patients, and also how does that impact your team as well?
So we, sorry, completely blanked. Basically, so one thing I really love about Peterson Chiropractic is a lot of times when a chiropractor opens a business, like Dr. Tim says, you're kind of just in survival mode. One thing I didn't realize is you need 3 good people. You need the doctor, you need someone to run the business in the business, and you need someone to be outside marketing. Typically, when a chiropractor opens an office, they're all 3 of those things. So their time is taken from the patients. Yeah. And I think that's an awesome thing to have with Peterson. They have, obviously, me and Dr. Tim, we're seeing the patients. That's all we have to focus on, and that's why we're chiropractors. We want to help as many people as we can. Sure. Joshua's running the business in the business, and then they have their sister Gretchen, who is out marketing, doing outside education. Yeah. So it's taking Dr. Tim's time and freeing himself up. And I don't think I ever realized that in school, that those are the type of people you need. Yeah. But like, I know a lot of my friends are opening practices, and we don't realize that. We need three good people, yourself included. That's a huge lesson learned, right? Yeah. And that you can see that you have enough foresight to see that up front is amazing. I mean, when I started my business, it was the same way, right? Like I was marketing, I was the salesperson, I was the janitor. Mm-hmm. I had to clean up the office. I was the greeter whenever a customer would walk in the door. As business owners, we wear a ton of hats. Right. And so, if you can have those support people to kind of walk alongside you and, level out the work or divvy up the work, it's so much easier, mm-hmm. right? And
I recognize that I'm super fortunate to be in the position that I'm in, that we, can have staff to do those kinds of things for us, but we're still out there every day. Right. So it's great that you're still in the practice, that you're still working the practice, and that you have those people that are walking alongside you guys to help you run the practice.
Absolutely, that are a lot more talented at those things than
for sure
I am. So
in regards to like marketing, like that's like what you were talking about, the doc talk that you were talking about, right? Like that was Josh's idea, and he's spearheading that, and you guys are just showing up, right? He gets a camera,
then he posts it, and so all you gotta do is be there.
Yeah, exactly.
Memorize your line.
Yeah, memorize the joke. In terms of legacy, what does legacy look like for Peterson? What does it mean for your family? What does it mean for your business? And what does it mean for your community?
Well, I think when you're raising kids, you're wondering, well, are any of my daughters going to take over for me? And like I took over for my dad, and none of my daughters are going to be chiropractors. Two are stay-at-home moms with growing families. I'm, grandpa multiple times over already. My youngest daughter's in marketing. She would be the closest to coming into the practice, but only in the marketing side. So really the legacy would be to be able to keep this type of chiropractic practice open for decades to come, even after I'm gone, which I've talked to her about that. Like, being a year in and the trajectory of improvement that she's shown over this past year, she's going to be a better chiropractor than I ever was if she continues on that trajectory, and I'd love for her to be able to take over the practice, and that would be the legacy.
You heard it here, folks. People, you heard it here first.
And I'm not willing to wait another, I don't know how many years for my grandkids to grow up and become chiropractors. So.
Yeah. That makes sense. What about you? What does legacy look like for you in terms of your career path, your growth as a chiropractor, and just in business in general?
I think, well, in terms of this one, there's already a huge legacy built, and for that to hopefully one day it never ends, but like we want to keep building on that. And even if it's maybe not in San Antonio, we want a family to know that they're taken care of. No matter where they are, we want them to know that they're loved and taken care of.
Yeah, and cared for.
Yeah.
Awesome. Guys, thanks so much for coming on the show. It's been fun having you guys. It's been fun getting to know you guys a little personally outside of the office.
Right. Absolutely.
We only have a couple minutes when we're in the office, right?
But thank you guys so much for coming on the show, for sharing your expertise. I'm excited about the program. As you get it, launched, and as you want to talk more specifically about the program, you're welcome anytime to come and talk about it on the show. We've got a much younger audience that I would have expected to be, quite honest with you. So, you never know. You might get some business out of it.
Oh, cool.
Awesome.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for coming on the show. Thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of ChingonSA. Stay tuned next week. We've got another great episode coming your way. Until then, see you guys.